Thank you for joining today, discovering a brand new feature in the Spark product. So what I'm going to show you is um, fairly early days, and what I'm hoping out of this drop-in today is a lot of questions and ideas how to bring that forward. So the topic is about frameworks, and frameworks are present in every organization. You've heard about ISO 9001, 27001, or risk and controls framework, or sometimes we call them blueprints, guides. There's plenty of elements in an organization that on which we base the organization that we are using as a foundation to understand how we do the work, how we structure our organization, how we structure the work we do, ensuring consistency when we think about ISO. And a major part of these frameworks is usually to, in one way or another, manage risks and manage risk via controls. So there were some, so this is a topic that is very closely related to processes, as processes describe how an organization runs. There's been this question for a fairly long time now. How do I do a mapping or an association between the processes I have and the frameworks or the items I need to comply with, or highlighting the risks, or highlighting this process helps mitigating these risks via control. So this is what we can do now in Spark. I will demo it. We can create the libraries, the frameworks of rules, statements, items, you call it however you want. We can link them to processes, we can link them between each other, and then we can assess coverage, because usually what we are looking for is, all right, it's great to have all these controls, let's say, that we have in place, but how much are actually implemented in an organization? How many are actually mapped? How many are have a process owner, etc. This feature is, I think, very useful for generalist business analysts, not necessarily only editors in Spark, people creating the process maps, business analysts in general who wants to understand the progress of an organization against some criteria. I will show you that. The use cases we'll start with today are risk and controls, and then we can discuss what are the potential things that we can do in the future. So frameworks are fairly standalone by themselves. That means I'm not going to start my demo via a process map, which is usually where we are. But here in my business tools, I see that I have some new icons here. We have risk and controls. These are the two frameworks that I have today. So I can see here the list of statements, all the risks that we've identified in my organization. So there's human risks, environmental risks, security risks, etc., to be a generic list found on the internet with a short description for each one. And we can see that this first one has been wired together with other items. So if I'm clicking on this employee turnover risks with the high rates of staff leaving the company, we can see that the details of these risks. So today we only have a description and related, but we can have as many fields as we want. Everything is customizable. The risk and controls comes with like a prepackaged list of fields, but anyone will be able to customize that what they need for their own organization. So let's say the likelihood in our kind of business is quite low, but the impact is high. So the residual risk, let's say it's quite medium. So we can create all sorts of drop downs, and the usual way we can build forms. Can also select some users for the ownership. So we see here as well, as I'm here, I show you sort of a new editor that we've been working on, which is much more what we call inline editor. So the editing experience is it's very, very nice and flows a bit nicer. We find we'll bring this editor in other parts of the products in the near future. We can also add attachments to a risk, or risk or frameworks items in general. Speaking with customers, we realize that very often a simplified version of a risk was enough, or a simplified version of the controls, because there was a much better full document elsewhere stored for the organization. So this could be a page in SharePoint, or this could be a PDF somewhere or something. So we can basically attach pretty much anything to to a risk or a control, or a framework item we can attach, and then we can link also things together. So this risk has one control attached to it, and we could add more. We can also risk links together. All that is custom. Everything can be customized, and we can see that this this risk is actually linked to a process already. Okay, I will talk about this little icon in a second. So these risks now have the detail. Let's go back to my risk. What we see here is also a kind of a hierarchy. We have the human risk, environmental risk. We can reorder all that for something that makes more sense to me. So there's plenty of ways to manage this list and report and extract it. What we've also done is some quick filters at the top, because typically the outcome of having all these risks and mapping them to controls and processes is to understand the coverage. All right, give me all the risk without owners. So it's all of them actually at the moment for now. Give me all the risks that don't have any controls implemented. So there is some quick access to some features that helps me really well understanding my landscape and where I am today. We also, so this is again early beta version, so this will evolve over time, but we've also have some basic analytics like we have all over the place in the product that generates automatically some charts and visualization against each of the risks. So here I've only done the likelihood on 2 risks, but we can imagine this list growing and showing me how many high, how many lows I have, what are the impacts, etc. So these diagrams are all live. Hopefully it will be a bit more colorful in when we release that. And it all helps you understanding the situation where you are in your organization. And as with everything in Spark, we'll be able to report and extract to Excel everything. The visualization is right, but sometimes you want the hard facts and be able to extract the data from Spark and get it in your own tools. Back to my list, something I forgot to mention when I'm on my risk list, we can manage access rights here as well on at a fairly granular level, actually in who is able to view the risks in the first place, but also who is able to create new risks. So we can restrict, okay, and you want some people like, I don't know, compliance manager and compliance specialists to be able to manage, view, create and edit the risk. So it's quite granular. We can decide who can create new risks, who can edit them, who can delete them. All that can be managed. So very powerful, permissions management system, much more evolved than what we had in the past. Now I will go at the process level. So let's go into this procure to pay process. Risks are like any other attachments, pretty much. We can make. Let's do an extra one just for fun. So I'm going into the risks. I will add a risk. Let's say I just picked a random one, liquidity risk. So now I have my risk, and I can link controls and whatever else framework I have in my case. So let's go to the employee turnover now. Here, so let's go back to the employee turnover. Now I see that this risk is linked to this process as it was. What we already implementing in this feature and many other features is to tell you if your risk is implemented only in the draft version of the process or also in the master version. Right? This is some feedback that came from many conversations with customers, that when we were showing list of activities like that, it was sometimes we create to be able to know, all right, am I talking about a draft process or am I talking about a published process? Just for the sake of the exercise, I will just quickly publish this process. Just create a published version, quick and dirty. Let's go back here in my employee turnover, and all right. So not sure why it's duplicated, but here we see now that the draft version that I'm editing, and it's also linked to the published version of the process. So we know that this risk is actually controlled in the official published version of the document. So this is a behavior that we will see in more and more places in the software over time, to understand, all right, is it a naturally published process that implements this risk, or is it still just a little draft thing that we have not yet approved? And we can also link a risk or a control to a document. Spark has processes and documents.